Welcome back, friends. Today's video kind of kicks off something, a new direction that we're going to be going in addition to what we've done in the past, and that is going to be featuring products of USA-made products from our subscriber base, from guys that have followed the channel for a long time and that have started small businesses. One of the benefits of the whole COVID-19 crisis is that it has forced people to kind of get out of their comfort zone and get motivated and start creating stuff. I think that there's going to be a renaissance of USA products made from small businesses with the ability of the internet and corporations realizing that, you know what, we don't have to have these big facilities. We can hire less people. That means that work from home, and that means less of the jobs are going to exist. Those jobs are not going to come back. So it's kind of forcing guys to get creative, and we have that exact thing today. So I'm not going to feature every thing that comes to me. A lot of people contact me and say, hey, we started this, can we send it to you? And I tell them all the same thing. I've said, you're welcome to send it. I'm not promising you a video, but if it's exceptional, if it's extraordinary, I'll do a video on it. And that's what we have today, is something that is extraordinary. It didn't come with any obligation, and I'm doing this because I want to do it, because I think if you don't have this stuff, I think you're insane. Especially if you have a family. Absolutely insane. It should be a really high priority. We've talked about this in the past. So what are we talking about? Is personal IFAKs and family IFAKs. Emergency first aid supplies. I know it's not the sexiest thing to spend money on. I know people don't like it. I personally think that it is. I do like it. As a why I can speak to this and why I think it's important, I was a lead medic. I was a career firefighter in Colorado. I've dealt with a lot of traumatic injuries, from car wrecks to decapitations to knife wounds to cardiac arrests. I've done it. I understand it, and I understand that the contents in this bag can be the difference between life or death. That's why I'm a huge advocate of it, because I've seen it in place. Refuge Medical sent me these 3 kits. Now, this company is ran by TJ, who's the owner, and JA, who is an ex-MMA fighter. He's the one that contacted me and said, hey, we'd like to get you into some IFAKs, and he put this thing all together. So I wanted to give a shout out to them. Also, they're a Christian company, and they run a nonprofit called Grindstone Ministries, where they're raising funds to build a facility where they can take care of and administer to people that are, how do I say this without getting censored, caught up in the sex trafficking world. So they're putting their money where their mouth is. So what we have here are 3 kits, and this one is a little bit specific. It may not apply to all of you. This is something that's going to be designed to fit in body armor. So if you're a soldier or law enforcement or a modern day Minuteman, this is going to appeal to you, and I'll explain why here in a minute. But the basic 2 kits I want to talk about are your personal IFAK, and then more of a larger family kit that's going to expand your capabilities and to be able to give you to deal with fractures, broken bones, and such. This particular kit is really appealing to me, and I really love this concept. I have seen this done. I think I've seen it done with some of the special forces guys are doing something similar to this, but it's basically taking an emergency kit that can deal with blunt force trauma, that can deal with gunshot, fragmentation wounds, crushing wounds, that sort of thing, a lot of chest wounds, all in a nice flat kit that's designed to wear inside of a plate carrier. That's really, really nice, because I'm going to be switching over to this, because what I have currently is an abdominal bag down here that houses all those things, and it is kind of floppy, kind of in the way, and I've not really warmed up to it. Most of your quality plate carriers are going to have an inner pocket in here for maps and different things. And this is really perfect. You have all these things. You have your decompression needles. You've got your things to deal with sucking chest wounds, your trauma dressings. They've even put duct tape as well as an emergency blanket to deal with shock. Nasogenial airway, the whole deal. And that fits in here very nice. I really am a fan of this. That frees up and eliminates that problem of having that bag down there where I could run other things or just get rid of it altogether. That is a slick system. Plus, it's in a really nice commercial vacuum sealed pack, which is going to keep it from getting wet and sweat. You can sweat against it. This stuff's tough. These commercial vacuum sealed guys are really tough, but this is Absolutely excellent. So if you are if you're a military age man, an American, and you don't have a plate carrier and you don't have these things and body armor and such, you need to get it. You are insane if you haven't taken these steps by now. Insane. This personal IFAC is, I'm going to give my own terminology here, is going to be an expanded one, because typically, I mean, the very minimum that a guy would want to carry would be an Israeli compression bandage, a decompression needle, a quick clot of some sort, trauma shears, as well as a North American cat rescue, right? That's the basic. So you can see it's a little bit more capable than that. It's bigger, it's got more stuff in it, right? So just so you kind of know what we're going into. So initially, I mean, the packaging is the containers are really nice. It's the big drain holes, just really nice quality off the bat. What told me where I go to with first aid kits is I go to first to see how much thoughts went into them. Where do they cut corners? Right? Where do they try to save a buck? And all of them, almost all of them, try to save a buck in the same place. That is some gnarly Velcro. Make sure you hit the bench before you try to open that guy up. And that's usually the trauma shears. So here we have an outer bag. Now, if you're working as a firefighter, I mean, everything just gets wrecked. So having a bag in a bag is really nice. This is going to protect this and keep it a lot cleaner. So you can get this guy open. It's red. I like the red for civilian use because everyone kind of understands what it is. You can weave it. This would be really good to weave on some of those MOLLE panels that go on the back of your trucks seats. This would be handy to have that. That way the bag could stay in the truck. When you pop that open and you've got a red handle and you've got your deployable bag. Trust me, when you're dealing with a trauma, just go look at the back of an ambulance after you deal with a cardiac arrest and it looks like a tornado went through it. I mean, you have to have things at hand and handy. You can make all these plans when you're in the comfort of your home, but when your loved one is bleeding to death, you want to have things handy. Trust me, I've been there, and it's scary and it's important. So what a nice kit. Look at that. Opens up really nice and clean, and has everything that we need there at our disposal. And then our main things, our tourniquet and our big Israeli bandage, a 6-inch, which is a nice size one, right at hand, right there. So as I go to, the first thing I go to with these kits, because I've had a lot of them sent to me, is the trauma shears. Where everyone tries to cut corners and save money is in the trauma shears. And I know it's a small thing, but I'm a detail guy and it means something to me. And if someone went to the trouble to research the best trauma shears you can buy and they put them in their kit, that tells you, that sets the tone for the whole thing, right? You notice right here, we've got MSN number. These are mil-spec trauma shears. These are way, way better than the cheap ones. They all look the same. You can buy cheap trauma shears for 99 cents, but they are not the same as proper ones. Even you have a little a wrench there for your O2 for oxygen. That fits an oxygen on-off valve on a bottle. For you guys that are first responders, know that. Right there. I mean, these are top of the line. These are as good as you can get, and they're in the kit. So that does set the tone for the whole kit right there. So I really, really appreciate that. We've got a proper Israeli bandage right here. This is a compression bandage, and it's a big one. You can get these in 3, 4, 6-inch, and this is the big 6-inch right here, so that's really nice. You've got a North American Rescue cat tourniquet there. Be careful, there are a lot of counterfeits out on the market. This is not one of those counterfeits. This is a genuine article right there. Costs more. Again, they look the same, but they're not the same. Decompression needle. Do you know what a decompression needle is? Sorry guys, the camera shut off for some reason. A lot of you probably have these in your kits, and I don't think most people even know what it is or how to. Maybe they know what it is, but they don't know how to use it. And it's a decompression needle. What this is for, helps you to deal with a symptom called tension pneumothorax, which is basically the lung collapsing and creating pressure. The pressure builds between the lung and the thoracic wall, and it's fatal if untreated. What can cause this? It could be a gunshot wound to the chest. It could be a knife wound to the chest. It could be falling from a helicopter, falling off of a building. It could be blunt impact. There's lots of things that can cause a lung to collapse and to fail. So what happens is you'll look for particular symptoms. This is not medical training. This is just for entertainment, but some things that you'll see will be absent lung sounds on one side. If you put your ear down, you'll hear that one lung is not inflating properly. You might see hyperresilience, I believe they call it, which is the chest cavity tightening up like a drum. If you tap on it, it'll have, it feels very, very tight. You'll see abnormal abdominal chest movement. You can see difficulty breathing. You can see tracheal deviation, all these sorts of things. But what it basically is, it's a long needle that is, and I'm not going to show you how to do it. You need to get training for this, but you can figure it out yourself. You insert the needle to let that air out, decompress that lung, so that you don't run into that trauma that will kill folks. So that's what these are for. So if you see them, maybe you were just wondering. So we have that right there, and then over here in this pouch, this is really a nice IFAK, really complete. Is we have a pair of gloves. These are non-latex gloves in a package, and I like everything sealed up so it's going to stay dry if you get it wet. This here is a compression gauze. There's a whole bunch of gauze in here that's really packed and vacuumed down tight. When you break it open and you start fluffing it up, it gets really big. This would what you would pack a wound with, that would absorb blood and also offers a lot of cushioning. So you might, in a bad chest wound, you might apply this in there, as well as a Israeli pressure dressing on top of it, and it gives a little bit of protection and a little bit of, keeps it from compressing and causing additional pain and trauma. But that's nice to have. It's especially if you have a bleeder. You got a nasogeal fairway right here with the lubricant on the back side, which is a nice feature. You're not looking and hunting around for that. I've had to install these and it's not a fun job to have to do, especially without the jelly. And looking for that stuff, seconds are important when you run into situations like that. We've got two big absorbent pads on here. Again, this is to deal with bleeding. And then we have a double high-fin vent, a chest seal twin pack. Now, if you have a sucking chest wound, I know that sounds gross, but you'll hear it. I've heard it before. It needs to be dealt with immediately. It can be caused by a knife wound. It can be caused by a gunshot wound, and if you have an exit hole, you have to take care and address both sides. If you have an entrance hole and an exit hole, just having one and not sealing the one in the back could be a problem. So he's got two here, which is really nice. I've never seen a kit that included two before, but that makes sense when I looked at it. What it basically is that if you have a sucking chest wound, as the patient is trying to breathe, it's sucking air in, which is exacerbating that condition we spoke of, and prevent, bringing pressure in the air that could eventually collapse the lungs. So what this does is, and we used to do the same thing with just a piece of plastic. If you have a sucking chest wound, you can take a piece of plastic, anything you have cut with your trauma shears, and you could tape it onto the patient, but you leave it on one side. And so what that allows it to happen is when the air tries to go through the hole, the plastic sucks up against the hole and prevents it, and helps the lungs to function normally. But when pressure builds up, having that flap that's open lets air escape, right? And that's basically what these things do. They're just more effective and they're a better design. You can go watch a video on it if you're curious, and they're big ones, great big ones. So that's nice. So that two of them. So you deal with a sucking chest wound on the front and on the back. So I like that. I really like the pouch. The packaging is very excellent and very easy to use. It's not overly complicated, and you have the things you need at hand. I very, very much like it. Clearly labeled in the red bag. I do love that. And little attention to detail. These are black. A lot of these are going to be polished stainless steel, and if you're in the military, obviously you don't want that. You don't want gleaming metal. That's why they use camouflage, right? So a lot of detail, just little things that might be important to you. But I think it speaks a lot about the company, that they are not cutting corners. Yeah, you can get cheaper stuff, but cheaper is not necessarily better, as we learned from our aftermarket sawmill fuel pump, right? I've got to give kudos to JA and TJ. I appreciate them sending this stuff out, but I really appreciate making such a quality product it's excellent. It's among the best I've ever seen. Very, very pleased with it. I don't know that you could do better, to be honest with you. On the family kit, of course, nice packaging. It's got a condor bag, but drop down, again, same trauma shears. You're gonna have some more capabilities. You're gonna be able to deal with multiple issues. I see just a lot more stuff in there, a lot more stuff for bleeders. I see SAM splints, so you could deal with broken bones and stuff. But it's going to be your family kit. I mean, you really got to invest in this stuff. It's expensive. I know it's expensive, but you need to set aside about $500-600 and get your family equipped. If you bought these 2 kits right here, you would be in good state. I would recommend this. I would get at least start with this. At least start with that. But if you're working and you work out of your truck, or you're a contractor or away from home, you want to have this in your truck at all times, and you want to have this at home for your family, and make sure they understand how to put a darn tourniquet on. I mean, that's something that you should do once a month. Break it out. You know, get the family together, show your kids how to do it, take them out of the packaging, actually do them. Those save lives, man. I mean, could you ever forgive yourself after watching this video and you didn't bother by getting at least a basic tourniquet and an Israeli bandage? I mean, could you forgive yourself if a loved one bled to death, or you could have made a difference because you put it off or just didn't do it? It just doesn't make sense. You need to have it. You've got to have it. I mean, it seems so obvious to me. I'm just so shocked that people don't have these within reach at all times. But get it. You should have this, and I recommend a book for you. There's a book that's, I think it's on Amazon. I'll put links to it in the subject heading, but it's called Where There Are No Doctors. And it was written for folks that are work in remote areas and tribes, or I don't know what you call them, missionaries and such, where they have to perform all sorts of surgeries, major and minor, dealing with wisdom teeth, dealing with abscesses, dealing with childbirth, ruptured appendixes. It's either you do it or the people die. You know, there isn't always an option to wait for a doctor, and it was written for that environment, and it's something that you should have in your library, and you need to get it, because if the internet isn't working or you don't have access to it, to have those hard copies is really important. It should be in every, if you have a family, it's your job as the priest and head of your household to make sure that these things are in order and have a first aid party night. Do it, schedule it bi-monthly or so, and open up the kits and go over them and make sure everyone knows where they're at. Take them with you when you go out of town. You gotta have it, man. You gotta have it. I can't tell you how many times I have broken out my kits, not for family members primarily, but friends that have come over, kids that have fallen down and gotten hurt. I've pulled over for car wrecks and been able to administer aid. I mean, how can you know? How can you know? But it's a responsibility of a husband. It's a responsibility of a man. It's a responsibility of a citizen to have these things in place. You don't have to be a medic. You don't have to have special training apart from some basic first aid and understanding, but take it upon yourself and do it. Do what you need to do to get it. So I'm a huge believer in that. Thanks for watching. May God bless you and your families. Links to the websites will be down in the subject heading. Get over there before they're gone. And keep us in your prayers. May God bless you and your families, and we'll see you all on the next video.